Hello and welcome to the video. My name is David Lilly and I am narrating this video on behalf of the content creator Patrick Fox. Patrick would like me to talk about the sensitive and very real subjects of the meaning of life, preparing for loss, which could be the loss of a loved one or a pet, and death, or passing over or transitioning, whatever term works for you. The aim of this video is to bring some clarity and comfort to anyone that may be struggling with any of these topics. This video was not made to challenge any religious beliefs or anyone's personal beliefs. It was simply made to offer some alternative suggestions on these topics, things that science cannot explain. This video has been put together following Patrick's extensive research and interviews with people from different walks of life, with different religious and spiritual beliefs, to people with very little beliefs at all. The main aim for making this video was to do as much research as he could and to talk to as many people as he could from different backgrounds and different conditioning to see if he could find any commonalities in their beliefs. His collected knowledge from Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, Christianity, and teachings from spiritual and generic teachers, including the Dalai Lama, Siddhartha Gautama, Thich Nhat Hanh, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, Paulo Coelho, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Michael Singer, Robert Monroe, Byron Katie, Peter Levine, and many more. He also researched hypnotherapists who believe they can induce out-of-body experiences and past life regression. He personally conducted a 3-hour interview with a highly skilled and tenured trauma therapist that has worked with people who have had near-death experiences, or NDEs. Patrick also had what he believes to be a near-death experience, which is the reason for making this video. This will be described in more detail later. He also had an in-depth discussion with a highly skilled and tenured clinical neuropsychologist about these topics, and both therapists were kind enough to give him some practical advice in dealing with them, which he is happy to share today. He has also asked anyone who was willing to comment on their beliefs about these topics along the way, and he recorded their thoughts and opinions. This is what he has learned. The most common theory of the meaning of life from a spiritual point of view is that we are an eternal or infinite spiritual being having a human experience. Our true being is essentially invisible. Our bodies are on loan to us to carry out this part of our journey. We only get one body, so look after it to the best of your ability. Life is all about experiences which happen to be both good and bad. Hopefully, more good experiences than bad, but it is logical to allow for both. So what is the meaning of life? This is a very difficult question, but he has found a couple of theories in relation to this question. He would like to start by quoting a sentence from a book called The Road Less Traveled, written by well-renowned American psychiatrist and psychotherapist M. Scott Peck. Quote, "Life is difficult," unquote. This is the simple truth. What he has learned from all the different teachings in his own life experience is that life is often difficult, or to put it another way, life is meant to challenge us. Some of the teachers describe being on earth as a school for us to learn. If we can accept that life is difficult and challenging, it may make life go a little smoother. Do not expect to be happy or content all of the time. It is just not realistic. It is perfectly okay not to be happy or content all of the time, because life can be really challenging. Sadness and loneliness are also parts of life that cannot be avoided. We are allowed to make all of the mistakes we need to in life. The important thing is that we learn from them. Life can be just about learning, surviving, and continuing. It is important to find a purpose in life, which is easier said than done, or some way of leaving your footprint on the world, no matter how small that footprint may be. He recently heard the saying, quote, "We are as important as a grain of sand on a beach, but without us, there would be no beach," unquote. His interpretation of this saying is that we are all as important as each other, and we are all a part of something larger than ourselves. Because life is so challenging at times, everyone needs help to navigate their way through it. According to the teachers, the most important thing in life is to try to help people. Show kindness where you can, and try to make a loving connection, whether with another person or a pet. Some spiritual teachers believe the meaning of life is to expand our consciousness from challenges and experiences. Then when we die, pass away, or transition, all of the information or knowledge we have gathered throughout our lives is uploaded into a larger consciousness, or one consciousness, as it is often referred to, which keeps universal energy everlasting and constantly refreshed. It is a lot more technical than that, but that is the best way I can simplify it. Patrick has found explanations can get quite complicated quite quickly, so he is doing his best to explain things in a way that hopefully everyone listening can relate to. An important question to ask yourself is, why do you do the things you do, whether they are good or bad for you? Really question why you do things that you know deep down are not good for you and do not serve you in any way, and take the time to think and reflect on an honest answer. You might be surprised with what you find. It would appear that the saying, quote, "We reap what we sow in life," unquote, is quite accurate. This has several meanings. For example, you eventually have to face up to the consequences of your actions. Second example, you will experience the same kinds of things that you have caused other people to experience. You will basically get back what you put out. It just seems to be the way it works in most cases. So try to stay aware of the way you are conducting yourself in the world. Just to recap on the possible meanings of life. All of his research and interviews leads to help others when you can, be kind when you can, give when you can, rather than take when you can. Live the best life you can and have as many experiences as you can. Create a loving connection with at least one person or animal, and be as prepared and organized as possible, as this can greatly reduce stress and anxiety. He ends this section of the video with a quote from the Dalai Lama, quote, "Our prime purpose in this life is to help others, and if you can't help others, at least don't hurt them," unquote. The second section of this video talks about the loss of a relationship. What does Patrick mean by loss? It is the loss of a function, for example, the loss of eyesight, loss of a body part or capability, or loss of a relationship. Unfortunately, loss is not something that can be avoided in life. It is a harsh part of the human experience. Fear of loss is a major factor in people never allowing themselves to get close to another person or animal because the fear of losing them is too much to bear. The law of impermanence simply means everything is constantly changing. Nothing stays the same. This is very true of life. It is constantly changing, and we must keep adapting to the changes. The good news is that as humans, we are very resilient. We are pre-programmed to deal with almost anything that comes our way, even though it does not feel like that at the time of a loss. The most practical advice he has come across in preparing for loss and life's challenges in general, although it sounds quite obvious, is to be as physically and mentally healthy as you can possibly be. The healthier we are, the better our bodies and minds can cope. When you experience a loss, try to grieve sooner rather than later. Holding on to the grief will only prolong the process. Connecting with another person and grieving together with them can really help the process move along rather than trying to do it all yourself. Even grieving with a close pet can create much more healing rather than grieving alone. A lot of times, feelings of guilt accompanies the loss. Feelings that you did not do enough, that you were not present enough, you were angry or impatient with the person or pet too much, and so on. This is where forgiveness or acceptance of the situation comes into play. Forgiveness is easier said than done in most cases, but studies have shown that forgiveness can have a profound effect on your overall health and well-being. A short quote from Mark Twain about forgiveness, quote, "Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it," unquote. Forgiving yourself for not being perfect is a good place to start. The reality of life is that nobody or situation is perfect, and accepting this can really make a difference. The saying that perfection can lead to paralysis has a lot of meaning. If you try to do everything perfectly and be perfect all of the time, the result may be that you end up emotionally paralyzed or in constant states of anxiety, overwhelm, or mental and physical exhaustion. The past cannot be changed, but the residues can be healed through therapeutic techniques. We can learn from our mistakes and do better in the present moment and future moments. Patrick ends this section of the video with the quote, "There is a nobility in compassion, a beauty in empathy, a grace in forgiveness," unquote. The third and final section of this video talks about death, passing over, or transitioning. The common theory from most of the teachers and practices he has researched is that there is no such thing as death. Death is just an illusion. It is just a transition to a different form. Our eternal or infinite consciousness is released into another dimension or higher plane, as it has been described, where peace and harmony can be obtained. Another way of looking at death or passing over or transitioning could be without it, the world would become overwhelmed and overcrowded. It is necessary for people to pass away in order for new life to begin and be allowed to experience the world at full capacity, which would greatly limit the life experience. Also, the person or pet that is gone is not suffering anymore, if that was the case while they were alive. You don't need to worry anymore if they are okay or safe, any physical, emotional, or mental discomfort. It could be helpful to consider that they will find eternal peace. Patrick has researched several near-death experiences, or NDEs, and there seems to be a strong consistency throughout all of them. All of the people felt a presence of peace and harmony, and most people encountered someone they knew who had already passed away. It has been described as a person they were familiar with in their life. The person was waiting for them to bring them through to whatever was next for them. This was also similar to Patrick's experience. Here is Patrick's description of his near-death experience. "When I was a young child, my illness was misdiagnosed. My condition was actually potentially fatal. I had a severe abscess in my inner ear, which was about to burst and potentially kill me, and my temperature was at a life-threatening high. I had an experience which I can still remember so clearly nearly 40 years later. Patrick's memory. I was walking down a dark road, hand in hand with my grandfather who had passed away previously. I did not know him that well, as he had passed away when I was quite young, but I did know who he was, and he was the last person I knew that had passed away before this experience, which seems to be consistent with most of the NDEs I have researched. We were walking towards what I thought was a street light in the distance. As we got closer, the light started to expand and get brighter. I began to get uneasy, and my grandfather reassured me that everything was okay, and that we needed to keep walking towards the light. I eventually let go of his hand and started to run backwards away from the light. I looked back as I ran away and saw my grandfather in the short distance holding out his hand with a warm smile on his face. It just wasn't my time yet to die. I don't really remember much after that. I'm assuming my fever broke and I survived to tell this story. Patrick heard something recently that really resonated with him, which he would like to share with you. You and everyone you know and everyone you can see will be gone sooner or later, leaving only their memory behind. Please take a moment to allow this message to sink in. It sounds quite morbid, and it is hard to comprehend that every time you see somebody you know or love could possibly be the last time you will ever see them. That is just the fragility of life. Patrick's interpretation of this message is to stay as present as possible. Try to make the best of your situation, even if it is not a good one, and try your best to enjoy the people or pets you have in your life, which can be easier said than done at times, but remember that every moment that goes by in life can never be gotten again, and that everything fades eventually. It's just the way it is. He ends this final section of the video with a poem written by Mary Elizabeth Bry called, "Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die." Summary. Patrick hopes this video has brought a bit more clarity and understanding to the topics of the meaning of life, preparing for loss and death, passing over or transitioning. These are undoubtedly hard topics to explore and digest, but they are a certain part of our life experience. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. If you found it helpful, please consider liking and sharing it with someone else who might like to hear it. Patrick would like to thank everyone who helped to make this video possible. And goodbye for now.